Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing a terrific climbing team in the Master Premier Cup. I hit all positive sets with the team, and it's centered around the highest stat product pseudo-legendary that you can use in the format, Garchomp. Garchomp is a menace in this format. I'm running Dragon Tail, Sand Tomb, and Outrage as the movesets. Garchomp, of course, doesn't like seeing Fairy or Ice types, so it forms a very good core with Magnezone. On the save switch, the trusty best buddy Snorlax, which in my view is the best save switch in the format. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and let's take a look at Garchomp Destruction in the Master Premier Cup. Hopping into the first match, picking up a pretty nice lead, Dragon Tail Garchomp versus Goodra. Opponent is going to bank some energy, save switch into Snorlax, and since I don't have superpower, I can't just switch in right away. Instead, I'm going to debuff with Sand Tomb, get some nice, valuable Dragon Tails in, and now that I'm at a pretty decent health advantage, I can bring in my own Snorlax. Even though I don't have superpower, I can now still control switch advantage in this match, which is very nice, because I do want Garchomp going up against the Goodra. Goodra, it can hit back for super effective with the Dragon Breath, but if it wants to land a charge move to do any meaningful damage, it's going to need to go all the way up to a Draco Meteor. They're able to land multiple superpowers, very okay by me, as I can take that damage, fire off another Body Slam, and win switch. They're going to send in the Goodra. Goodra forced to fire off some energy. Aqua Tail will not quite KO here. I believe I should be able to hang on. They go for the Thunder Punch, so it looks like they are running Thunder Punch plus Draco Meteor, as Thunder Punch and Aqua Tail do the same damage when both are neutral. Aggressive switch to the Garchomp. I will commit the shield here. Opponent is going to fire off another Thunder Punch, but in the back, it is Hisuian Avaluggs. Even though I shield a triple resisted bait, it's not going to matter because I can just debuff and debuff and debuff, even against an Ice type, which is hitting me for double super effective damage. Garchomp able to force both shields. I have Magnezone in the back, and Magnezone will comfortably be able to clean up this game. Opponent ends up giving me an entire Volt Switch for free, but whether they do or don't, this game is already over. I can fire off this Mirror Shot. This is double super effective damage. My attack has been debuffed, but their defense is at -2, so I'm just in a completely one position here. They're going to fire off the Icy Wind. They go for a fancy play where they transfer the Volt Switch onto the Goodra, but I still have a Mirror Shot, so it's not going to impact the outcome of the game whatsoever. So we are able to take this Game 1 victory in pretty convincing fashion, as we still have a shield remaining. We've got a battle of content creators in the next match. I did end up matching, I believe, like 5 content creators in my sets today, so that was quite a bit of fun. Here, a surprise. They are not running Draco Meteor. Instead, they're running Aqua Tail and Thunder Punch. But Aqua Tail does basically nothing to Garchomp. I can bluff the Outrage and again just go for the Sand Tomb. The Sand Tomb debuffs just make the Dragon Tails absolutely shred here. Opponent is going to be firing off the last second Aqua Tail. I decided to just go for farm on Magnezone. Opponent pivots into Typhlosion. Uh-oh, this is not great for me. In comes Typhlosion. I'm going to send in the Snorlax, respect the Blast Burn, because if my opponent is pivoting Typhlosion, I'm fully expecting there's another fire type in the back. It's probably going to be Skeledirge. I fire off the Body Slam. That's not going to be enough to KO. This is enough for the Blast Burn. I commit the shield, and I get the shield call right. I'm looking for the farm down. My opponent will make a move, but this is only a Thunder Punch. A Thunder Punch is very survivable for me here. So the Thunder Punch will connect, and I will get the farm down. And it is going to be another fire type in the back as Skeledirge hits the battlefield. I'm firing off the Outrage. Outrage is going to connect. I'm expecting my opponent to throw right away, so I switch one turn before their move, getting the sneak and the catch of the Disarming Voice. That's an amazing catch for me, as now I can make it to the Mirror Shot and force a shield from my opponent. The Mirror Shot does force the shield. I do not get the attack drop, but I should be in a winning position with that catch. Shadow Ball picks up the KO. I can send in the Snorlax. In comes Goodra. I do not want to take these Dragon Breaths. Goodra's damage can definitely add up, so I just get rid of the Goodra. In comes the Skeledirge, and I can farm all the way down and secure a narrow victory. Moving to the next match, we've got a terrible lead, Garchomp versus Florges. The save switch to the Snorlax, opponent responds with Annihilate. This matchup right here is why I am running Outrage, so that way if an opponent sends in the Annihilate, then I have a move that can actually provide some nice damage. They Night Slash, thankfully they do not get the boost. Oh man, boosted Annihilate was always a nightmare to deal with. I'm able to grab the shield, which is honestly great. I baited out the fighting type, which is what I needed to do, and I've gotten a shield. Night Slash won't quite KO here. I can survive this on 1 HP. I'm only going to make the Body Slam, however, and Body Slam's not going to do a ton of damage, but it will help set up the farm down. But the opponent lost track of my energy. They thought that I was at the Outrage, and they end up double shielding. and that should put me in an amazing position. Basically, unless there's something like a ground type in the back, Magnezone has just won this game, because Magnezone up 2 shields is just way too good. They will fire off the Night Slash. I can survive that. They send in Florges. I bring in the Magnezone. Oh no, it's Feraligatr in the back, and it's all over in the blink of an eye. Wild Charge, 1-hit KO. Back in comes the Florges. But even though Florges can fire off charge attacks here, I still have 2 shields remaining, so I'm just in a completely one position. Mirror Shot gets him low, and I'm 1 away from the Wild Charge. In this situation, Wild Charge does do more damage, so this is an intentional play. It's not bad manners or anything, it is just the correct move to throw in the situation, and we're now 3-0 in the set. Great lead in the next match, Garchomp versus Rhyperior, and the Rhyperior is going to stay in. Rhyperior does have the pacing advantage, able to get to the super effective Breaking Swipe. I'm going to no shield. I know that I can survive the Breaking Swipe. Opponent save switches into Florges, and I have a great response available for this. But as soon as I send it to Magnezone, I'm thinking to myself, this is a bait out. They're trying to bait out the Magnezone, which is definitely not great for me. Realistically, what I should do in this situation is Mirror Shot, and then farm up to a Wild Charge plus a Mirror Shot. As long as I do that, I'm in a pretty good spot where I can land the Wild Charge to pick up the KO and have a Mirror Shot for the Rhyperior. But instead, I'm going to end up playing this very, very poorly. They're going to be firing off the Disarming Voice because they know they can get to 2. That forces me to throw my energy, and now I'm just not in an amazing position because I haven't played this well. I am going to pivot out into the Snorlax because I'm expecting there's another Fairy type in the back. I'm bluffing a Superpower here. I'm not running a Superpower, but Superpower would do a ton of damage, and they don't respect the bluff, and that's a problem for me. I will respect the Rock Wrecker. It's a Breaking Swipe bait. Oh boy, this is just going downhill rapidly. They're going for another Breaking Swipe, and I'm fully expecting it's going to be a Charmer in the back. Thankfully, they do not get the debuff. I'm farming up a ton of energy, and I'm going for the Outrage. I need this Pokemon gone. Outrage picks up the KO. What's in the back? It is going to be Togekiss, and I actually aggressively switch into the Garchomp. My thought here is I can get 2 Sand Tombs. I'm going to be able to debuff their defense. They're never going to be able to reset that debuff, and then I can just go for massive Volt Switch damage. However, my Magnezone is very low. My Snorlax is very low as well, so I send in the Magnezone. Look at the Volt Switches. Oh my goodness. Going for the Mirror Shot, hoping for a potential attack drop. The Mirror Shot does not get the attack drop. I don't get another Volt Switch to land, and unfortunately, they're just going to be able to make 2 Ancient Powers. I think if I had played that Magnezone Florges mid-game a lot better and exited with a Mirror Shot loaded for the Rhyperior, I would have been in a way better spot. I would have kept my favorable alignment, I could have got some damage on them, but unfortunately, I feel like I threw the game, and now we're looking to try and clutch the 4-1 set. Garchomp versus Dragonite, this is very okay. Considering that my backline really does not like eating superpowers, I'm very okay with this. And here we see the stat difference, by the way, is they're already in the yellow health when they throw the move, and I'm not. Garchomp just has a massive, massive stat product. I'm not going to bait here. I'm just going to pick up the KO and see what they want to send in. They send in Snorlax. Snorlax going to be forced to Body Slam before it can make a Sand Tomb, but even just the Dragon Tail damage there is quite nice. And now I'm just going to bring in my own Snorlax. I don't have superpower, but that's very okay. I'm just going to look to farm very close to 100 energy and wait for them to throw their moves. They're forced to fire off some energy. I'm hoping they go for the superpower, but they will just go for the Body Slam. So they might be running the same moveset as me. I do think having Outrage is very valuable because if you don't have it, then you just get absolutely cooked by Annihilate. Like, it is a truly horrific matchup if you're on Body Slam and superpower. I'm going to fire off Body Slam after Body Slam, still down a shield, but I'm making some very valuable progress here. Body Slams exchanged. I'm continually making sure that I have a lot of residual energy. My goal would be, if I can get this thing low, I'd love to try and snipe it with a Volt Switch. So I think what I'm going to do is land this and then go for a snipe with a Volt Switch. But it's a simultaneous switch. My Magnezone into their Skeledirge, and this is so bad. I'm farming up a ton of energy. I'm going for the Mirror Shot bait. My hope lies in a double bait. I get the bait, and I get a debuff. Okay, that's step 1. Now I go for bait number 2. The bait is successful. Opponent fires off energy because they realize that I'm making this Wild Charge no matter what. They go for the Disarming Voice. They lose charge attack priority, and now the Wild Charge will pick up the KO. But can Snorlax get the farm down here? In comes the Snorlax. The Volt Switch KOs, and we secure the 4-1 set. We've got a terrible lead in the next match. Dragon Tail Garchomp versus Florges. I'm going to save switch into Snorlax. My opponent is staying in here. Staying in means that they don't have an amazing response to my Snorlax save switch. So I will fire off the Body Slam, and here I decided to let this go. I'm thinking, you know what, if they don't have an amazing response, that's very okay by me. They're going to send in a Shadow Hippowdon. I'm like, oh my goodness, the spice. But I'm immediately regretting my decision to no-shield the Moonblast, because they clearly are triple weak to Snorlax. They're bringing in a Hippowdon. Hippowdon is by no means a good check here. They will land the Scorching Sands. I can make it to another Body Slam, but judging by the damage the first one did, this will not be enough to knock out. It does get them low, but it's not enough to KO. And if they have a Hippowdon of all things, they very well could have a real ground type in the back. So this is like the safe switch to bait out the stuff that beats the ground types. And then there's like a real ground type in the back. So I'm fully expecting to lose this game at this point. I can send in the Magnezone. It's Exca in the back. And yeah, that's just hard counter city. So I will resign the match. We've got another battle of content creators in the next match as I lead Garchomp versus Ursaluna. Ursaluna can learn Ice Punch, which is double super effective, but Garchomp can take that pretty decently, so I'm just going to no-shield. They will go for the Ice Punch. That does a lot of damage, but I can survive it. Sandtomb bait, caught onto Golisopod. Okay, Golisopod, I have a great response in Magnezone, but as soon as I send it in, I'm thinking this is 100% a Magnezone bait out. I should have brought in Snorlax, because they're going to be weak to Magnezone in the back. And now, this becomes Operation Preserve this Magnezone at all costs. They send in the Ursaluna. It's a ground type, but they have no fast move pressure here. They're stuck on Tackle. Tackle is going to be resisted, so even though my defense has been debuffed, honestly, it's not the worst spot to be in ever. I'm going to be shielding everything here. I need to get out and save energy. There is the high horsepower. I'm going to try and escape, but the clock is just not yet up before they fire off energy. So I'm going to bank a ton of energy, send in the Garchomp, and I'm just going for the Sandtomb. I want this thing as low as I possibly can. So the Sandtomb will connect in the back. There it is, Dragon Breath Gyarados. I would have perfectly hard countered them in the back if I just brought the Snorlax into the Golisopod, which would have been the correct play. But I made the wrong play, and now I have to fight back. I'm going to fire off the Body Slam. I'm running Best Buddy Snorlax specifically versus the, it helps specifically for this Gyarados matchup. You do 1 extra lick damage, which is very valuable. They go for the Crunch. They do not get the debuff. And now it's time for Magnezone to shine. I have a Wild Charge plus a Mirror Shot banked, so I'll bait with the Mirror Shot and then fire off the Wild Charge. So Mirror Shot, shielded, Wild Charge, caught onto the Ursaluna. Beautiful catch by my opponent, but even so, they're going to take way too much damage from the Volt Switches, so they're forced to throw energy. And them being forced to throw energy means that this will be a win, because my Snorlax is not in a range where a single move will KO. Gyarados will fire off some energy here. Gyarados goes for the Aqua Tail. That will get me low, but I'm able to make it to the Body Slam. And a game that should have been extremely easy. I made way harder than it ever should have been. If you see a Golisopod save switch, just send in the Snorlax. Snorlax crushes that thing. Alright, we've got a terrible lead, leading the Garchomp versus the Florges. And last time a Florges stayed in here, they ended up being really, really weak to Snorlax in the back, so I think I'm going to adjust my strategy and play this a little bit differently. So I will end up committing the shield. They're going to go for the Moonblast, and they're going to send in Shadow Dragonite. Shadow Dragonite, I'm going to farm all the way up to an Outrage and then bait with the Body Slam. Hoping I can grab a shield here, and I do grab the shield. I'm now in a range where a superpower will KO. I can survive the Shadow Dragon Claw, however. That doesn't do a ton of damage. My clock will be up soon, though, so I switch into the Garchomp, hoping that I was able to successfully catch the superpower. But it's a Dragon Claw that I caught. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. I'm just going to let this go. I have to hope that I can sweep with the Magnezone if it's like a Gyarados in the back. They should be short here, if my counts are correct. So I know shield, it is the Dragon Claw, but in the back, it's their own Garchomp. If I was able to bait that out with the Snorlax, would have been smooth sailing for the Magnezone, but unfortunately, it is not. We've got some wild spice in the next match. Garchomp versus Ice Fang Baxcalibur. I need to switch out immediately and send in Snorlax. I can tank whatever they throw on Snorlax. They're going to fire off an Avalanche, which is quite a lot of damage, and send in Gyarados. This is perfect. I can throw 11 licks. when I try and do that, unfortunately the game stutters and it throws on alignment. Oh, that hurts to watch back. Oh my goodness, that is awful. Here, I'm very intentionally just not throwing my move because I just want them to throw energy. And they will throw energy. And now, I can just go for a ton of farm on Garchomp. Garchomp being a Dragon Ground type means the Waterfall will still hit for neutral, so it will still add up, but I'm just going for a ton of farm. My thought process is everyone expects Dragon Tail Garchomp to Sand Tomb. So when they bring in the Ice Fang user, I'm just straight outraging here. So I go straight for the outrage. It one-shots in the back. They have Goldengo. I can fire off a Sand Tomb, so they're going to be debuffed. If they shield it, they have Wild Charges in their future. If they don't shield it, I can probably just farm them down. Goldengo does have enough for the Focus Blast. It's a 50-50 shield call. I commit the shield and get it right as they do go for the Focus Blast. Now I can go for perfect timing, throwing 2 Volt Switches and the Mirror Shot, and then I just build up to 2 more. At this point, timing does not matter because Mirror Shot will KO, so as long as I have 2, which I do, this game is over. Goldengo, a very cool pick. Really like to see people running it, but as we see here, Magnezone is able to handle it thanks to that clutch Sand Tomb debuff from Garchomp. All in all, I think Garchomp is an absolute beast in this format. I was trying to find Pokemon that could neutrally do well against Goodra, and it appears that just going for high stat product ends up working out because it does very, very well against Goodra. If they have Draco Meteor, you're able to outpace and make the outrage before they get there, or if they have Aqua Tail, as we saw, they're forced to throw 2 Aqua Tails and give up a shield on a Sand Tomb, whereas you don't have to shield anything. So if you're looking to potentially climb some elo this week, which I imagine a lot of people are, definitely consider Garchomp. And the nice thing is this Garchomp moveset doesn't even require the legacy move of Earth Power. Earth Power definitely better suited if you're running a Mudshot Garchomp, but for me, I just wanted the raw fast move pressure because I was expecting a lot of Goodra, and I did see a lot of Goodra, so it really ended up working out. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.